Well everyone, it is time for a brand new Victoria 2 tutorial, and this one's actually going to be quite advanced. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this, I don't blame you. Do not do this. Only do this when the conditions are absolutely right. And that is breaking the game and going over the infamy limit and being an unstoppable force in the world. Now of course, before I can explain how you can even do that, I need to explain to you how Infamy works in this game. As you all know, strategy games, grand strategy games like this, Victoria 2, you can't just go around conquering everyone in plain sight and not expect some pushback. And this game has its aggression limit, and that's called the infamy limit right here. It's this red flag right here, this number right here. At the beginning of the game, everyone has 0 infamy. Now, you notice, well actually, I'll explain that in a second. Let me get to, I'm playing Japan specifically for this reason. I'll show you. Like, go over to Korea and conquer them. As you can see, you can get up to 22 infamy by taking over, conquests. Now, of course, the minimum is 25. The maximum is 25. And if you go at or above 25, every country in the world will instantly get a cause belli to contain you and attack you. And trust me, they will, given the opportunity. So now, of course, you don't get this infamy right off the bat. It's a percentage based upon when you get caught. You have a 1.5% chance of getting caught. Matter of fact, let's see if I'm lucky and try and do a conquest on Korea and see if I get instantly caught or whatever. So, as you can see right here, like right now, let's get to like 10%. So right now, if I got caught, instead of taking 22 infamy, I would only take 90% of it. So if I get to 50%, I'm only going to take half the infamy, so 11. And if I go all the way and don't get caught, I won't take any infamy whatsoever. And of course, but there you go, got caught. Quite early, like 15%, 16%, sadly. But I took all that infamy. Now, how do you lose all that infamy? Well, you see right there, during peace, it goes down 0.1 every month. So in a year, you'll lose 1.2 infamy as long as you're at peace. And of course, you will lose, I believe it's 0.3 a month if you lose a Containment War. But that's something you want to avoid at all costs, so why would you want that? Now, when you're at war, it goes down to 0.03. So you only lose 0.03 a month, so if you're really high on infamy, you gotta be careful when you're going to war, because if you want the infamy to go on really quickly, it's not during wars. And then, of course, during the game, you will unlock what you can't see here. I can't remember exactly what technology invention does it, but you'll eventually unlock, usually in the 1860s, a decision where you can sign on to the Geneva Conventions. If you do that, you'll lose an infamy instantly, but your infamy only goes down 0.9 for the rest of the game. So it's effectively 10% slower. And that's why in my playthroughs, I at all costs try to not do it, because a lot of times I've been boned because that extra infamy lowering that I need. I need that 0.10 and went down to 0.09. I can't take that. But that's an option too for terms of lowering infamy. Now, of course, like I said, if you go at or above 25 infamy, every country in the world has a cause belli to do a Containment War on you. A Containment War is basically, let's see, oh, I have a diplomatic point. Actually, no, I could just cheat. It's in caps. Always Diplo. Oh, there you go. Alright, so now let's say China's too big. Oh, Dynam's small enough. Okay, so oh, that's right, because I'm doing China right now. Korea. Alright. Hey, see right here. Cut down the size. The Containment War is basically a stronger version of cut down the size. And when you get cut down the size, I believe it was a quarter of your income goes to the winner that you lost to for the next 5 years. And you are limited to how big your army can be. You can't build a whole bunch of troops and ships. You're like limited basically. You lose money, and it constrains your strength in terms of army. You can still mobilize too if you want, though, but the Containment War is much stronger. And of course, in a whole bunch of mods outside vanilla, they make it even stronger, where you can actually lose your entire empire. Like, hell, some mods, if you do like a cut down the size on the British, they can lose like everything. Canada, Australia, India, New Zealand, South Africa, all of that. But in vanilla, you don't have to worry about it. But there are ways for you to not have to worry about that and make that irrelevant, the infamy. So, how do you do that? Well, first you gotta get into the perfect situation to do so. Now, of course, a better situation, I did Japan since it was easier to explain the infamy, but we're gonna go over to Prussia here. Here we go, got on to Prussia. Now, in order to make sure you're safe going over the infamy limit, 1, you need to be a great power. Preferably, you need to also be the #1 military power in the world. So yeah, and keep your military tech as high as possible too. 2, you need to have as many brigades as possible. Build up as many as possible and encourage soldiers if you need to. And another thing too, you can't go over the infamy limit at the beginning of the game, but one thing you could probably do, especially with Prussia's case, because if you want to say form Germany, you are going to have to go to war with France, which also usually likely means you're going to have to go to war with Russia, because usually France and Russia ally each other to counter Prussia. And of course, if you want to make forming Germany easy, you might have to go after Austria to get their spheres over. So all these free great powers in the area are going to be your enemies most likely. So what you need to do is strengthen yourself and weaken them. So attack them. Take stuff from them. Like if you want to form Germany, you're going to have to take Alsace-Lorraine from France. That's a good way to test your strength too. Go to war with them. Beat the crap out of them. Take Alsace-Lorraine. Get yourself stronger. Get them a bit weaker. Maybe if you have enough infamy, maybe try and take something else too to make them even more weaker. And of course Russia too, same thing. And Austria too. If you have the opportunity to take stuff from the other great powers in your area and weaken them, do so you can at least test your strength. Okay, I can beat them here. I take a territory from them, so now I'm going to be stronger in 5 years. They're going to be weaker, so I can take them on. And then usually, the best way to tell if it's time to go over the infamy limit is usually when a great war happens. Because then if you manage to go over the infamy limit and beat the great powers, then there's nothing to worry about. Or you can scare them so much with if your military score is so high that they might be too scared to attack you, because that's mostly what it comes down to. If your military score is too low enough, they might attack you. But if it's like so gargantuanly high, they might just leave you alone because they're too scared to touch you. Now, of course, there's no like guarantee of like, okay, what's the actual number where no matter what they won't touch you. It's completely random, pretty much. I remember one time I had a game where I was like 4 times stronger than the next strongest country in the game, and they still attacked me. So you gotta keep that in mind. But if you're massively stronger than everyone else in the game, that makes it less likely to have to worry about getting attacked by. But yeah, get to great power, become the #1 military in the world, prod and test your strength against all your neighboring powers in the area. See if you can beat the crap out of them a bit, take some land from them and weaken them. And once you start getting a good feel of your strength against your neighbors, then you can start starting to add stuff up to go over the infamy limit. And then if a Containment War happens and you win, then you're pretty much unstoppable. Just like in my Russia game, my Russia MP, and my Super Germany playthrough I'm doing for YouTube, I'm just taking over the entire world effectively because no one can stop me. And if they do try to interfere, I just kill them. They can't stop me. Yeah, it's a very bold, aggressive strategy, and if you're new to this game, do not do it. Stay under the infamy limit at all costs. But if you become very good at the game, it would be a smart idea to maybe consider doing that and make a giant empire, basically. But that's the end of this tutorial. Hope you all enjoyed it. Of course, if you want to see examples, go watch my Super Germany Assimilation Nation mod playthrough, and go watch my Netherlands streams, which I'm over the infamy limit on that. And of course, I did a stream on my Russia save a few months ago where I was well over the infamy limit on that. And go check out my AER video where I played Guangxi and I went over the infamy limit, had over 800 infamy at the end of the game, and I had all of China under my control, Korea, like a shit ton of India and all that. So I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. See you guys next time.